What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get into it. Let's not dilly-dally any longer. Here we are at about $85,000 on this, the very first day of March 2025. An immaculate bounce is what we had yesterday, you guys. A lot of volume came in, a big wick. I don't know about you, but I'm hearing a lot of crickets when it comes to all the bears that were screaming super loud down here yesterday, guys. They were super loud. It's just like the bulls, right? They're the loudest. I know I was my loudest when we were at these highs here. The bears were definitely their loudest at the lows, and that's just how we know it's probably time to reverse. That and the fact that we were at the lowest levels in the daily RSI that we've been in since June of 2024, and virtually some of the lowest lows in the RSI on a daily perspective that we've been in this whole bull cycle. Not just on the daily, but oh no, I thought the weekly was lower too. But maybe it was the 3-day time frame. Yeah, the 3-day time frame. I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking of a different crypto. To be fair too, though, we are at the lowest, some of the lowest readings on the 3-day RSI that we've been in this whole cycle as well. Looking at this here, 21 hours, 29 minutes left in this 3-day period. If we are to retrace this move, if we are to have this, what that buzzword is that everybody's talking about in the markets right now, this V-shaped recovery, then we would see a very rapid expansion. We would see something basically at this. I mean, just a V-shaped recovery by nature is shaped like a V, right? So, and oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, the recovery part is faster than the decovery part, the downward trend part, or same thing in like a blow off top. Sometimes the dump is a little bit faster than the pump was, but oftentimes in these V-shaped recoveries, they do look pretty much like a V. So at that kind of pace, there, maybe we would expect tomorrow to be all the way back up at 96K. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be something. What nobody's talking about, though, I don't know if nobody's talking about it, but it's something that I have a little theory on, is that we could be forming some kind of an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, where you've got your left shoulder there, you'd probably form your right shoulder today, and then we break out, right? And I know that what that looks like, right? That looks like a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. I know it doesn't look like anything else. You don't have to tell me. It's very possible that this shoulder here could have started all the way up here. It depends on how you want to interpret this, but if we were to look at this from a measure move perspective, you take the low to the high of this first target. It's possible it could be more complex. Maybe it's a complex inverse head and shoulders, and this is where the shoulder, the neckline is, but I don't know. We'll just go from here for now. If that is the neckline, the measure move would take you all the way up to 96.6K, and that's a big deal. I'll tell you guys why in a second if you don't remember from yesterday's video. If you watched yesterday's video, you know why that's a big deal, but we'll go over it. Okay, $96.6 thousand is a big deal. That's your measure move of this inverse head and shoulders. By the way, inverse head and shoulders, this is exactly what the volume looks like in your trend. Okay, this is like an incomplete pattern. It's like we're just missing the second half of it. So it's not guaranteed to be an inverse head and shoulders. Most of the time, you don't hear people saying it until we find resistance. We've got that shoulder look, and then we've something like this. That around that time, that's whenever people start to call out the pattern. But we're being a little bit preemptive here. Preemptive does not mean we're ahead of the game. Preemptive does not mean that we're going to call it right. Preemptive means this is what it could be, but it's completely possible, again, if we have a V-shaped recovery, that hey, no inverse head and shoulders at all. Hey, we're just going to keep moving up, and that's fine too. If I'm wrong in my measurement and it's not here that the shoulder starts, but here, then the measure move would take us all the way up. If that's the neckline, that's where we would break. That would take us all the way up to about $102,000. And that's a big deal too, but we're going to talk about why 96K is a big deal, okay? Looking at this on a daily time frame, 96K is a big deal because that is where our golden ratio is, from the high to the low, right there, 96.2K. Whenever we were at higher, maybe it just slipped a little bit, but whenever I last measured it, it had to have been at like 96.3K, or maybe it was a different chart. I'm on the Coinbase chart. I think it was a different chart. It was the index chart, yeah. It was this high to low. Let's see if it was 96.3K. It's like lower. It's not even what I thought it would be. 90. Okay, that's close. Yeah, 96.3K. And it's at the low. It's at the high there. That's a big deal for a couple reasons, right? Because you'd be getting back to your breakout point, essentially validating that the move is over. Okay, that was your breakout move, and if you come all the way back to the breakout point itself after a move like that, perhaps you're reversing it entirely and starting a new trend upwards, right? That's what that can imply. Not only that, it's your golden ratio, which also validates this as a low. And anytime you break through the golden ratio, especially on the first attempt, I want to be clear what a breakthrough means. I don't mean, consolidating in this area and then moving down. That's not a breakthrough in your first attempt. No, a breakthrough is like like that, right? Like if you break through it, if you really break through it, then yeah, we're probably going to see a rather immediate move up to 120K, okay? But it's very common to find resistance at your golden ratio. Okay, so I would expect that we go up here if we adhere to the measure moves, go up here, pull back to about 92,500, 89,000, something like that, and then continue to move up. It's very, very normal behavior to hit your golden ratio, find resistance in this box between the 0.5 and the 382. So if that happens, be prepared for it. But if this move's more powerful than we're giving it credit for, it's also very common with V-shaped recoveries to, when you recover, to go higher than where your V started. Actually, most V, it's like 90% of the time, you guys, and I'm not just saying that genuinely. It might be more than that. It might be like 99 out of 100 times. Every V-shaped recovery I've seen, that's a true V-shaped recovery that leads to an uptrend, right? Because V-shaped recoveries, if they're successful, they lead to uptrends. They do go beyond where they started. So that would actually mean we go through the golden ratio. And if we go through the golden ratio on the first attempt, you guys, that's going to be very phenomenal. But beyond all the things that we've already mentioned as to why 96K is such an important level, if we look at this thing on a 3-day time frame, we actually have done something that's very characteristic of this kind of pattern, right? This here is what you call in the space a diamond top. It's a diamond top. If you're looking at that and you're like, that's an ugly pattern, well, you found a diamond top, my friend. Diamond patterns are very ugly patterns. And it looks better on this 3-day time frame. It definitely, I feel like the best way that I identify diamonds is I'll like kind of zoom out. If you look at it there, I feel like it's easier to see. Sometimes when you're super scoped in, it can be hard to see. I will say for a diamond pattern, this one is an ugly diamond pattern. It really is. But it's performing exactly like you would expect a diamond pattern to perform. Breaking out at high velocity, that's what they're known for. What they're also known for is a throwback or a pullback. A throwback, technically, a pullback could be this, and then you come down. A throwback, from what, if I'm using the terminology correctly, maybe a pullback is if you break out and you pull down. A throwback is if you go up, if you break down. I don't remember, but a throwback, a pullback, whatever it is, diamonds are notorious for breaking out at high velocity and then pulling back, throwing back to the breakout point. So we've got 3 different things that make sense for this to happen, right? The V-shaped recovery would indicate that you come back and probably go through this. The golden ratio's there, right? You've got an inverse head and shoulders if neither of those things happen, and the target areas take you to that same point. And then, of course, the way the expected behavior, like 50% of the time in a diamond top, you break out fast and then you come back just as fast, which would more align with the idea, the notion that we are going to see a V-shaped recovery. So 96K, 96.3K specifically, with the breakout point, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal to get above, okay? And what I mean by that is not like this. We don't want to get above it like this. We do not want to get above it like this. We want to get above it like that. We want a solid body to close up here or higher. The higher the better, right? That's the Colorado way, baby. We're at $85.4 thousand now, moving up a little bit. Hey, we moved up $400 since we started. I really do like the 4-hour RSI. I think it looks phenomenal. I think we have come out of a downtrend here, had some double bullish divergence. You know what that means, right? You've got bullish divergence here. You got another drive that's bullish double, right? Double bullish divergence. Low here, low there, low there. Technically, we haven't even completed this move. Oh, man. No. Oh, okay. Hold on. Wait. Okay, I was about to say, I don't know. To be completely fair, guys, I think this pattern, where I was saying that's the neckline, I think we can throw that out, because if this bullish divergence is true, this double bullish divergence is true, excuse me, that's a more bullish signal than just regular bullish divergence, okay? Just being fair. And oftentimes with bullish divergence of any variety, you go back to where the divergence started, which that, in this case, would be all the way at $87,000. Now, bullish divergence of this magnitude doesn't mean you're going through the roof. It can definitely implicate further things to come along, but what it really implicates is that we will at least go to $87,200, statistically speaking. We don't have to, but likely we do. And even more likely than that, I would say, more likely than actually stopping at this area, we actually would go through the bullish divergence. Most of the time when I see bullish divergences, you don't just go back to where it started, but you go a little bit through it. If we were to go a little bit through it, you have the 382 right there, perfect area to stop, just above it maybe, just like these guys here, where you might have a little shelf, and then that head and shoulders, that inverse head and shoulders pattern starting out like that, man. I mean, it might be perfect, and you know exactly what that looks like. It looks just like an inverse head and shoulders. Don't tell me otherwise, man. Get your minds out of the gutter. We're at $85,350 now, and there's nothing else to focus on but that, okay? From a high to a low, when we do finally move up, when we're prosperous again, and I think we're getting there soon, my friends. We have seen the most volume on a weekly basis since November, okay, and that was here right now. So I do fully expect and anticipate that we are going to see prices at $119,000 to $134,000 in the coming weeks, likely by the end of March. That's where we're going to go. If this V-shaped recovery holds up, and then if we get prosperous afterwards, you know, if things maintain. If not, maybe those targets are reserved for April. That's possible, but I think April has higher targets in mind. I don't know. It depends. It really depends on how this recovery goes down, because it's completely possible too. We could just move sideways for about a month. We could move March could be volatile, but more or less boring, right? We could recover rather immediately and then just kind of meander our way through March, and then coming to the end of March going into April, that could be when we start breaking out. If that's the case, these targets will just, you know, they're still there, but they will happen at a later date than anticipated. But the way that I'm seeing it right now is that March, likely by the end of March, we'd be at 120 to 135K, if not higher. End of April, I would think we're at 147K to 187K, if not maybe a little lower than 187. I'm thinking probably 167, 175, somewhere in there by the end of April, mid-April even. It could happen in early April. It just depends on how fast we get going here, you guys. And I know that Bitcoin's been a little bit boring. It's been very boring, and the moment of excitement we got was to the downside. But it doesn't take much to remind people how fast this thing can move, right? It can move up a lot in a very short amount of time. Even throughout this cycle, right, from a low to a high here, you know, this is a course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. And we didn't move up constantly that whole time, right? But that was the move up. 8 weeks here. If we were to put that same movement here at that low, that would give us a move that takes us into the middle of April, and we'd be all the way at $151,000. And I don't know about you guys, but from what I remember of past bull cycles, the movements upwards only get bigger as the cycle progresses. What I'm saying by that is we're probably due for the biggest move that we've seen this cycle. It's not the biggest move of the cycle, but the biggest move we've seen so far. And if that's the case, we're probably not going to stop at 150K mid-April, or we're probably going to go above that, right? Probably, but we'll see. We'll see if it happens. I don't know if I have anything else that I want to say. You know, it's funny being at 85K. If it was like 3 weeks ago, this would be depressing, but compared to 24 hours ago, we're on top of the world. Emotions change fast in this game, my friends. We are not absolved of going lower. This wicking daily candle is eerily similar to this one, is it not? So don't get duped. The volume is even the same. We could, if we see something like this where we move sideways for a while, perhaps we haven't completed the move down. Perhaps we're in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-legged move down, which is very possible. I don't think so, but it's completely possible. I think more so it might be a 1, 2, 3 kind of move. Corrective moves are 1, 2, 3 patterns, generally speaking, but time will tell. We'll see how it goes. I'm expecting a rapid recovery from here. At the very least, if not a rapid recovery, some kind of formation, at least a rapid move up to about this $89,000, $90,000 level, and then we might play around and form like an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, right? Something like that could happen. Generally speaking, when it comes to the right shoulder is generally smaller than the left shoulder, but generally doesn't mean it has to happen. You could have a slightly, but if it's too much larger, then you run the risk of busting the pattern. You can't have it be too much larger. It could be slightly larger, but oftentimes it's slightly smaller, even like half the size of the left shoulder. So just anticipate that either it's a V-shaped recovery, or it's an inverse head and shoulders pattern, or it's a diamond top and then a pullback to the breakout point. Any and all of those things can be true at the same time, but we'll maybe not the inverse head and shoulders and the V-shaped recovery, I suppose. It's either going to be a V-shaped recovery or an inverse head and shoulders, but I'm sure I am frustrating people with just repeating the same words over and over again. So I'm going to end the video there. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.